the person who ordered that assassination was in jail at the time, in prison. And it almost challenges believability, but the fact is that prison does not mean the end of a criminal career, especially if you're a member of the Mexican Mafia or you're somehow an ally of the Mexican Mafia. They do control the prison system in California. They control virtually every member, every inmate. There's somewhere between 117,000 inmates in the California prison system. The overwhelming majority of those are directly under the control of the Mexican Mafia. It is not an understatement to say that the MA controls the prison system. Correction officers tell me that they're basically there to feed, house, clothe, and medicate the inmates. But the actual running of the prison and what happens in the prison system is pretty much in the hands of the Mexican Mafia. For instance, if you're a Hispanic criminal, it could be a citizen, non-citizen, or even non-gang affiliated. If you commit a crime and you land in the Los Angeles County Jail, you're given two sets of instructions. First set of instruction comes from the jail authorities themselves. These are, how you're going to behave and how you're going to conduct yourself, and so on and so on. And then you're also given a set of instructions by the Mexican Mafia shot caller who's running that tier, who's running that block, that cell block. And the MA calls them the X-Files. And these are the rules laid down by the MA to new prisoners being inducted into the LA County jail system. If you contradict one of the prison rules, you'll get written up. You'll get a 115 form with your name on it, and you're told not to do that again. If you go against the Mexican Mafia rules, the penalties are a lot harsher than a piece of paper. You can be assaulted all the way up to killed, depending on the severity of your infraction. Prison authorities know about it. They're almost powerless to do anything about it because the power is so pervasive. There are various mechanisms that the Mexican Mafia uses to exert their powers on the street. They've got a terrific information gathering and intelligence system, and a very effective and robust communication system. The prime mechanism is the fact that street gangsters, if you're a 16-year-old kid and you belong to Florencia 13 or Bowling Street or Avenues or Canoga Park, Alabama, you know full well that when you do caper and you commit a crime and you end up in the prison system or the jail system, you are now in their house. You are now in their backyard. So when you're on the street doing whatever crimes you do, and somebody from the Mexican Mafia comes to you and tells you, you're going to do this, you're going to pay your taxes, or you're going to go and regulate that guy who's not paying his taxes. If you value your health and your life, you better do what they tell you when you're on the street. Because if you end up in jail, you end up in their house. You come under their direct control. Fear is that mechanism that they use to control the behavior of street gangsters. And it's not just a few street gangsters. As I said, there's close to about 100,000 of them on the street, give or take. The information gathering system is also fairly elaborate and comprehensive. They use something called a burnout phone. Well, many burnout phones. The burnout phone is a phone line that the Mexican Mafia associate establishes on the street. Legitimate phone line, they're called phone company, and the phone company sets up the line. That number is then given to an associate or a member in the prison system. That number gets around the prison system fairly quickly. That number is used as a collect phone call because you can only make collect phone calls from prison. That number then becomes essentially a switchboard for information. You'll have somebody calling from corporate into that number. They'll leave a message, and when somebody calls from Calipatria State Prison, he picks up that message. Information goes out of the prison to the street and back into the prison. So if you have associates who are in different prisons all over the state, they communicate through these burnout phones. And I'll give you, for instance, how much traffic, how much information travel is conducted through these burnout phones. There was an FBI surveillance. They put a tap on one of these phones in Boyle Heights. It was run by a guy named Shaky Joe Hernandez. Shaky Joe ran a burnout phone for 3 months until the phone was shut down because he couldn't pay the bill. And then they go on and pick up another phone. That's why they call them burnouts, because the bill is never paid. In a 3-month period, Shaky Joe Hernandez's phone recorded close to 10,000 collect phone calls from the prisons to his house. And he was there 8, 9 hours a day, taking information and relating information from one prison to another prison. And he was also collecting information on the streets and feeding that into the system as well. So if something happens in Boyle Heights tomorrow morning, something that the Mexican Mafia should be aware of or wants to be aware of, that information gets into the prison system by tomorrow afternoon. And by tomorrow evening, an order will be sent out to take care of that particular piece of business. Somebody isn't paying their taxes, they hear about it in the prison system tomorrow, and they'll do something about it tomorrow night. And then someone on the street will be tasked to take care of that business. So we've got essentially a real-time information gathering and distribution system conducted by the Mexican Mafia, and to some degree other prison gangs, but the Mexican Mafia is probably the best exploiter of these kind of systems of any prison gang. There is virtually no comparability between the Mexican Mafia and other prison gangs. There are other prison gangs, the Black Guerrilla Family, the Aryan Brotherhood, and the Noche Familia of Northern California. But the Mexican Mafia is the only prison gang that has been able to project its power from the prison out onto the street, to have the street gang members, the militia, the street militias, do their bidding.